Hello everybody! Today I'm going to do a guide on how to close out games after you've carried the early game. I got a couple of comments from my subscribers asking me what to do to kind of close out the games and not throw them. I do think that Shaco is a very good, he's not a very good early game champion, but if he carries the early game, the late game is going to be really easy in my opinion. Because if you get your team ahead and leave your team kills, your team is going to do the dirty work for you. You basically only have to kind of group with your team, play alongside of them, and win some team fights and basically win the game. So, let's get into it. I'm gonna have some background gameplay from a game where we finished quite early in like 26 minutes. So, just to show you kind of what I did in this game, but the commentary doesn't really have anything to do with the game itself, so don't get confused about that. So the first thing that I would recommend is grouping. Because if you act according to my Shaco guide that I made on how to carry the early/mid game, you should leave a couple of your kills for your laners. So what that means is basically you are a couple thousand golds ahead of your enemies, so teamfighting shouldn't be a problem because you are ahead in gold, and unless the enemy team has a crazy teamfighting comp, they can't really beat you in a straight 5v5. What you can do as well is try to take like objectives, try to deny them enemy jungle, taking their camps and stuff. I would recommend staying away from Baron, just because if you do Baron and you lose Baron, makes them catch up so much that it's really not worth the risk, unless you know you can 100% secure Baron without giving away any kills or not more than one kill. The next thing that I would recommend is trying to play around your carries instead of playing around yourself. So what that basically means is, yes, you can go for assassination kills and try to, catch somebody off guard, but trading a 1v1, like your life for the enemy carry's life, is not worth it. The way I like to compare it is basically you're trading a champion kill for like 3 or 4 minions in terms of gold. Unless of course the enemy carry is not behind or useless in any way and is an actual danger to your team, so of course assassinating that target would probably be worth it. I would instead recommend trying to peel for your carries, just because they're so far ahead, and if you left all the kills to them, it basically means that they can dish out so much damage, it's insane. The enemy team probably has no chance against 2 of your carries being super fed, or even 3. So one thing that you can always do is punish the enemy mistakes. So by that I mean that if, for example, the enemy jungler shows bot side and the enemy top laner is bot side as well, and you are around Baron and the enemies don't have any vision, you can try to do Baron, and because there's no way the enemy jungler can steal it, and if the enemy top laner doesn't have TP, there's no way he can join the fight as well. So it's basically 3v5 and the possibility of getting Baron, so it's a really good call. Some people really like split pushing, and while it is a good strategy, especially in lower elo because people don't check the map, it is kind of risky, because unless you really trust your team, it can really go downhill. If you split push and your team starts a fight and loses a 4v5, that can really ruin the game, because your team basically gave 4 kills to the enemy team, which is an insane amount of gold, so that's really bad. Now, if you trust your team and you know they can even fight a 4v5 and win, then you can obviously split push, which goes hand in hand with catching some people off guard that are alone on the map. For example, the enemy AD carry, cleaning the bot wave, you see him alone, you have dusk split up, it doesn't see any wards, so the enemy carry doesn't know you're there, assassinate him and then join your team, or keep on split pushing because it's now a 4v4 on mid lane, for example, while you are split pushing bot lane. That is a really, really good call. But now, probably the biggest question of all, how do you make your team listen to you? And that is a really tough one to answer, because there's no secret formula on how to do that or how to make your team listen to you. There's 2 things that you can do to make your team trust you more, which is basically carrying the early game, making good calls in the early game so they know, okay, this guy has an idea on how to play the game, so if he makes further calls, that might win us the game, so they might trust you. The second thing is probably the more obvious one. Basically, do not flame. If your top laner dies 3 times in a row, it's okay. Calm him down. If he swears and is like super mad, try to calm him down, tell him it's alright, we can still win, it's pretty easy. Just, don't flame him and say, oh, you're so fucking bad, dude, just kill yourself, leave the game, dude, uninstall, play Tetris or Minecraft bullshit. Don't do that. Just, calm him down, say that it's alright. Basically, don't get your team mad, and rather uplift your teammates so they know, okay, this guy's a nice guy, he knows what he's talking about, he's chill, I'm gonna listen to this guy. So the TLDR version of this guide is basically group with your team and stay close to your team. You can farm camps, that's no problem, but if they somehow get caught, you should be there in a couple of seconds, like 3 or 5 seconds to maximum, so that is fine. Now, if you have the upper hand or if somebody is off guard on a different lane, you can obviously go and assassinate him and then start split pushing, because it's now a 4v4 situation where your team is, and you can split push and get a free tower. So somebody has to move for you, or they start a fight on mid lane and try to kill your team, but since they are ahead, that's probably unlikely, so you get a free tower, or your team can even initiate, so that is really awesome. 1v1 trades are most of the time not worth it, just because you are ahead and the enemies are behind. Unless the target you're assassinating is a high priority target that is fed or isn't behind and has like a crazy team fighting ult like MF, and yeah, that would ruin the game. Also, don't risk anything. Try to play the game not slow but safe. You should always punish enemy mistakes and pressure them, but don't force anything that you don't for 100% know that is gonna work. You also want to deny any kind of gold you can from the enemy team, so taking their jungler is really good. Also, taking dragon is most of the time really easy, since in a 5v5 fight they don't have any chance. Most of the time it's also worth it to just peel for your AD carry or mid laner or even top laner sometimes, just because they are so ahead, their damage output is insane, and a Shaco can peel very good, because if somebody jumps on your carry, just pop ult, do a double like Duskblade hit, and he's probably dead. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed my video, please leave a like, and if you want to see my future videos, consider subscribing. If you have any kind of questions or video ideas, leave a comment down below. Thank you.